Hello and welcome to March to the pod presented by Eternal Roofing. It's roofing that you can trust with your home. This is season 3, episode 17. We're talking Beavers, Beatdowns, and Bearkats. It all goes together. A La Tech recap and an Oregon State preview. I'm Corey Hogue, your host, producer, and once bandcatfans.com member who is ready for this football season to end. Not just the Cats. The rest of it's fine, but please, tired of this. Find me on social media at Corey Hogue Sports, CORYHOGUE Sports. And don't forget to check out my Substack where I cover winning teams, most of them win, and non-FBS football in Texas every single week. And as always, I'm joined by the real ball knower of this podcast. He's the man behind at Sports of SHSU on Twitter and Instagram, the COO of the Cat Fund, and a proud Bearcat himself, Ben Sorrells. And Ben, let's jump into it, man. We got a busy show today. We got some good things to talk about up front because, we'd like to start positive. How about we start with some Conference USA, European football, women's soccer, my bad, people, women's soccer quarterfinal contest between Delaware and the Cats. The Cats were down 1-0, but Kelsey Villatoro changed that with this goal in the 78th minute.
Houston, Gibson, and Dybala, both tall targets. Towards Gibson. Off the recycle. Goal! It's an equalizer for Sam Houston! In the 78th minute!
First off, that Delaware goalie has an attitude all day game. She had an attitude.
Yep.
But second, that was a beautiful job. She, on the first touch, got a little away from Villatoro, but she did a great job of corralling it and then put that in a spot where no one was going to get it.
Incredible. I mean, that was just an incredible goal. And to highlight her a little more, she got called up to the El Salvadorian national team a couple weeks ago. So her and I believe it was Jasmine Dybala, also from El Salvador, they missed a couple games going to play for the national team. And the team still found a way to win games, which was cool. So cool honor for her. She had a great season. She was one of the very, very late transfers that was added to Kendall Ayers' roster. Didn't even know about it until they posted the roster like a week before the season started. So a diamond in the rough that they found, and a big piece of this team and a big piece of that win against Delaware.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's a good thing she's not in high school. She wouldn't be allowed to play in the UIL next year. So that tied up the contest at 1. You heard about that, right? The UIL got rid of exchange students. Whatever. It's not my call. Doesn't bother me. Well, whatever. Went to penalty kicks, man. They went full time, then they went extra time. Nobody could score again. And then they went to penalty kicks. Many rounds of drama-filled penalty kicks. Not going to show you all of them, but in the 8th round of PKs, this was a big save by Bond.
The senior steps into it. Save! Bond pumped up!
Looked like she'd made up her mind to go into that, what is her right-hand corner early.
That was a beautiful read. The one who was kicking the ball, she kind of gave that away a little bit, and Katie Bond didn't miss it at all.
No, she had a spectacular performance during the game, and especially during the shootout. Went to 9 rounds. I think she had 4 saves, and she scored one of the goals. Yeah, she was one of the kickers, or one of the place kickers for the shootout. So just an incredible performance by her. She had an incredible year here. I know she's a senior, but man, she was a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, she had been outstanding. So Pam Murray came up right after that in the 9th round, and she hit this goal to send the Cats to the semifinals.
Understood the importance of sitting out to finish the regular season to give herself a chance in the postseason. The limelight is on her. Murray scores and sends Sam Houston to the semis.
Beautiful job putting that ball into the upper 90 there. And that gave a 6-5 shootout victory for the Cats. They went on to the semifinals yesterday. Liberty's a good team. Got up early, put it away late, 2-0. But more importantly, Ben, let's talk about how great this season was under Kendall Ayers and all the challenges she faced, which, we'll have another comparison here later on again.
Yeah, I think it was 9 wins this year, 9-5-4, I think was, or 9-6-3. One of those two was the final record. Incredible year, third in Conference USA. You won a game in the tournament. I think if you were on the other side of the bracket, you might be in the title game. You beat Missouri State earlier this year, who's moving on to the championship. And you beat them at Missouri State, so you would have felt good about that matchup. Just got a little bit of a tough draw, but incredible performance. I mean, took a step forward from even what Sonia Cavallo did the last few years, which she propelled the program forward a little bit. And I know yesterday it was 2-0, but and Liberty controlled most of the game, but the 2 goals that were scored were incredibly frustrating. Katie Bond gets tackled in the box. A couple seconds later, they score, and there's a Liberty player just laying on her. And then the first goal was a handball that was called 2 minutes after it happened. They just decided to call a handball 2 minutes later. So, I mean, Liberty won 2-0. It was definitely frustrating, but you still had a shot in that game, in my opinion. So, incredible year. Still really good performance in the conference tournament. And I think you return 18 of the 24 players on the roster next year. So, I mean, you, as of right now, return a good chunk of production and talent.
Yeah, Jason Plotkin chimes in. Coach Ayers having a full offseason will be huge for this program. Needs a new goalie to replace our grad. He's watching on YouTube. Thank you so much for chiming in, Jason. And you are 100% right. We need a new goalie, but a whole full offseason for Kendall Ayers. I mean, granted, look, you played at the Lord's house. She was praying on Bond the first, and it's Liberty, man. Things happen, right? But now you shift and give Ayers a full offseason. She can find a goalie. This team could be dangerous again.
Yeah, and I think Sierra Rank is her name. She's a redshirt freshman, I think, that came over from Corpus. A&M Corpus, played a little bit there last year, so I know you've got her on the roster. But you found a handful of players, Addison Christian, Villatoro, the Vance twins, Sierra Herbert, that you got in April or May. I mean, 2 months before the season started. Imagine a full offseason and you don't have to go replace half the team. You can kind of select from your needs, and there's going to be a bigger talent pool. So, yeah, I'm excited to see what next year looks like.
Me too. Well, basketball got started. More good news from this last week. Women's basketball defeated Southwestern Christian 58-39. Not quite the offensive output I think we were hoping for there.
It was literally not exactly what I said last week in the preview. They're going to play great defense. What does the offense look like? The offense was a concern. The defense was great, forcing 33, 34 turnovers, something like that. But you shot the ball 78 times and scored 58 points. You had 45 more shot attempts than the opponent. The efficiency from the field and the free throw line was not good. So it's something that they've got to work on and improve on. It's a very similar group to last year. They look, albeit one game, they look very similar to what they did last year. So that's just something we got to continue to watch, is if they can gel offensively and start to find a rhythm.
Yeah, when you create that many more possessions, which is what you do when you create turnovers, you got to hit at least 40% of your shots. You will be really good. This team would be really solid if they could do that. We'll see what happens. Sunday, they travel to play TCU. That's not an easy one.
You did win there the last time you played in 2022. Obviously a different TCU team this time. But yeah, I can't remember the exact finishing field goal percentage off the top of my head, but I know at halftime it was 21.6% from the field and 7 of 15 from the free throw line. And that'll get it done against Southwest Christian, but when you get into conference play, that's not going to cut it.
Yeah, that only works against NAI, maybe even D3. Men's basketball came right after that. Played Division III Laterno. That game went about like we expected it to, like we had talked about last week. It was about 10-15 first half, kind of close. And then the depth and talent of the Cats took over in the second half for a 95-59 victory. Ben, I just thought that was just a good constructive first game for the men.
Yeah, and I said 30 to 40 point win. I think we've played the Turno 4 or 5 times the past decade or so. It's always in that margin. So it was again. And the most encouraging sign for me, there were a lot of positives, but the biggest one is Damon Nicholas looked awesome. He didn't play the 35 or 36 minutes he would typically play, in a conference game when you really need him. But 25 minutes, he looked incredible. I think he had 6 of the 8 first points for the team. Looked super athletic, looked like himself, great defensively, rebounding the ball. So that's a great sign for Sam Houston that Damon Nicholas looks like he's back to being himself from 2 years ago.
Outstanding. Another comment from Jason Plotkin on YouTube. What was the feedback on the new seating section at Johnson Coliseum?
Yeah, well, it's great. And it looks great visually on the TV. I heard the atmosphere was great. You have a true courtside seating now on the near side, which where the pull-out seats used to be, or the only pull-out seats used to be. Funny story about that. There were some donors a little bickering over trying to get the courtside seats in the middle. And so I heard that was going on before the season started. But yeah, it looked great. Awesome to kind of have that courtside seated environment for 30 to 40 people. And the student turnout, awesome. 1,500 people. I think it was 1,488, I think was the official turnout. That would have been top 3 or 4 for your attendance based on last year's attendance numbers, I believe. So really, really good turnout. And I'm excited to see what it looks like against Wyoming in a couple weeks.
I enjoyed seeing all the students behind the bench. That's a huge lift.
I think it makes a difference too.
Yeah. No doubt. It provides more of a home court advantage for them. But we find out Friday night, Cats go to Lubbock. They're meeting the Grant McCaslins, the Texas Tech Red Raiders. By the way, Grant McCaslin, former Midwestern State basketball coach.
Yeah, I was going to say, obviously it's a game that you don't expect to win. You want to be competitive, but Texas Tech is out 4 starters, or they were in their opener a night or two ago against Lindenwood. I think it was last night against Lindenwood. They were out 4 starters, so maybe you can find a way to capitalize. You never know. We'll see.
Dude, that was Lindenwood. You don't need them.
I know. But if they're not back for us, it may be a little closer than you expect. I'm not saying we're going to win, but maybe an opportunity to be a little closer than we think it might be.
Not long ago, Lindenwood was D2, and they do have a pretty solid hockey program, though. They've been D1 hockey for a while. Man, why do I know that much? I don't know. Don't ask me. We're going to come back. We're going to review the La Tech game, and then we'll get into previewing Oregon State. But first, let's hear a word from our friends over at Eternal Roofing.
Eternal Roofing and General Contracting is your choice for integrity work in the Texas Hill Country. Taylor Andrus and crew provide experienced quality roofing services with a mission of roofing with faith, serving with integrity, and sheltering homes in the spirit of stewardship. Don't just take our word for it. Here's what satisfied customer Pamela Allen had to say about Eternal Roofing. They did a great job on our patio roof, came out quick for a quote. The quote was very reasonable, and they started and finished work well and quickly. Not a bad thing to say about Eternal Roofing. Give Eternal Roofing a call today at area code 830-251-5673 or area code 936-215-8539, or you can email them taylor@eternalroofingtx.com.
All right. Well, the first part went a little long, so we can speed through this one. La Tech, 7 plays, 74-yard drive, touchdown, 3:04 off the clock, 7-0. Sam Houston, 17 yards, 6 plays, punt. La Tech, 5 plays, 58 yards, 2 minutes, 10 seconds. By the way, for you keeping track at home, that's 5:14, and they had 14 points. Sam Houston gained a whopping 31 yards on 8 plays and then punted. La Tech, though, went 82 yards, 6 plays, another 3:14 off the clock. Well, that's not even 10 minutes yet. They've got 21 points early in the second quarter. Cats got 24 yards in 7 plays before punting once again. It's a theme for this offense. La Tech went 95 yards in 8 plays. Used 4:15 this time. The Cats made them work for that one a little bit to take a 27-0 lead. Sam Houston went 69 yards in 7 plays, turned the ball over on downs. That was at the La Tech 2-yard line that they turned the ball over on the downs.
Yeah, Longo mentioned it a lot, talking about the game, the red zone offense, but the amount of times that Sam Houston has gone for it in the red zone or within 30, 40 yards of the goal line, it's just been astounding. And I know it goes back to your, I think you made the point a couple weeks ago, it's just desperation. You
It
know,
is. Look, there's times to go for it, right? And not even talking analytically here, right? If you're 4th down and 1 and you're at the 40 or closer, 4th down and 1 or 2, you go for that, right? Like that's just how it is if you're on the plus 40 or closer. If you're on the goal line and you're down 21-0, I get it, right? You obviously know field goals aren't going to win the game. I'm not, it's not even that. It's not the fact that he's gone for it so much that bothers me. And some of it is a little desperation, but it's the play calls chosen when he does it. It's just not good.
yeah. Well, and I think the best example of it was, I think it was the Jack State game. The end that was a 2-point conversion, but talking close yardage situation, the triple reverse end around kind of thing at the 2 or 3 yard line. You can't have, and this is a team that can run the ball pretty effectively at times. And if you can get a little creative at the goal line, things might work.
Creative, but you've got to be creative and punching, right? You can't be creative with a long developing play. It's got to be quick. They look more like the Dayton Cowboys right now, man.
No, I'm talking RPO with Hunter Watson, and I think with a quarterback like Hunter Watson, you got to go under center in some of those situations too. You can't be afraid to do that. I mean, even if you're just handing the ball off, or maybe it's a fake handoff and he kind of wheels out to the side, throws it, or wheels out and runs it himself. We saw Jack State do that to us a couple weeks ago, where you got the quarterback under center. It looks like it's going to be a handoff or a tush push, and then the quarterback takes it himself around the side. You just got to get creative, especially with the quarterback that can move.
You know what I do? I take 9 offensive linemen. I put 5 on the line of scrimmage. I put 2 as like H-backs or sniffer backs on either the right or left tackle area right there. Right? That gives me 8. I got another one that's like a fullback. I have a tight end out there too, right? This way, a tight end on the line that gives the threat of pass. It could sneak out and get a pass, but also I'm either bullying my way into the end zone or I'm giving you a pass. You know what's coming, but if I got 8 offensive linemen, good luck stopping me.
Yeah, I agree. Go. I mean, you've got to just get more. It feels like it's a handoff on a draw out of the shotgun, or it's a fade pass, and
or it's a really bad timed option to the near side,
right?
Which doesn't do you any good. Yeah, so the Cats opened the second half, turned it over on downs again after 23 yards on 5 plays, and that's really reeking of desperation. At that point, they got the ball back on a forced fumble, and they got on the board. They took advantage of it, and Elijah Green scored on this touchdown.
Second down from the 28. Watson hands it off to Green with a burst of speed. Past one and into the end zone. Sam Houston's on the board for the first time today.
28 yards, nice hole, nice job, good cut. Had one man to beat. He beat him easily, and the Cats were on the board, Ben.
Yeah, it was a good drive. It was all Elijah Green. I think he got 1 carry out of a 2-back set play, and it went to him, and then they just kind of rode him the rest of the drive and the rest of the game. But was good to see Elijah Green get back in the fold after being out with injury for a few weeks, and then McCaskill and Coco Brown being ahead of him. And maybe you found something with him. I mean, the second half and especially that drive were pretty good with Elijah Green.
He looked good. He was a very big bright spot in that game. Louisiana Tech, 8 plays, 77 yards, another touchdown, went up 34-7. They went for another. La Tech scored another touchdown, 41-7. But hey, Elijah Green again, this time from 80 yards.
Well, here's Sam Houston trailing by 34. Been a rough night so far. Elijah Green trying to change that. Can he go all the way? Green with plenty of space, and he's going to do it. Elijah Green with an 80-yard touchdown.
Dude's got speed, man. That defensive back had an angle on him, and he ran right by him by about 3 yards.
Yeah, he's got some burners. I mean, he can move. You just got to get him in open space. You haven't seen a lot of that this year with the running backs.
You haven't seen a lot of good things at all out of that football team. La Tech scored 2 more touchdowns, including an 85-yard pick six to finish off the Cats 55-14. Now, look, running game, 296 yards. That's nice. It's not good when you lose 55-14 to have 300 yards rushing, but that is a good output. They gained 503 total yards. Then that is solid. The fact, though, that you gained 503 yards and 300 rushing, and you only put 14 points on the board is darn near criminal. You should have it probably double that.
Yeah, it goes back to the play calling at the goal line, red zone offense. Maybe you should kick a field goal every now and then. I mean, I was astounded because I kept looking at the Louisiana Tech line during the game because theirs was just insane, especially on the rushing side. I think it was above 400, but I went back and looked at Sam Houston's after the game. It was over 500, and I was shocked, just considering you only scored 14.
Well, La Tech gained 426 yards on the ground, 10.9 yards. Every time they ran the ball, it was a first down on average. Yeah. 6 touchdowns rushing, 647 total yards against that defense that just gets more and more porous. But there was a reason for it. We don't make excuses, but here's an excuse. Longo postgame.
Yeah, I was a little concerned coming into this game. I think we had a really good 2 weeks in preparation. We were hoping that we could get a little healthier, and it cost us tonight. We had 3 D linemen out. We're hoping to get some good play from some backups. Thought we'd get Alton back. We didn't get Alton back. He tried to go early in the game and couldn't do it. And so when that happens, it's next man up, right? And you got to move on to the next people. And I thought we had some guys play hard tonight, but we're not tackling well in the open field on defense. We need to get off to a faster start on offense. And I thought those are the 2 things that keep showing up each week that have to get better if we're gonna get a win here.
I can almost write his post-game comment script now. Guys played hard. We need to tackle better. We got to get off to a better start. A few times it was that's on me. We're going to get it better, but I haven't seen it. Ben, your thoughts?
I was really frustrated with it, honestly. I get not disclosing that you're missing your top 3 defensive tackles in a weekly presser. That's fine with me. But we have availability reports for a reason, and they need to be accurate, and it helps us frame the way we cover a game. It helps us frame the way we watch the game. And Dylan Frazier, and I tweeted this out after the game too, Dylan Frazier, Cordell Pat, and DJ Jackson all did not play. They're 3 of the 4 defensive tackles that have seen time this year. Shafon Boyd is the other one. He did play. But, man, that just really frustrated me that we didn't know they were out. It helps us be able to cover things a little more fairly, I feel like. But if you're not going to put them on the availability report, it's hard to cover the team fairly. And Jamar Diaz was also not on the availability report, and he did not play also. So that part was just really, really frustrating for me.
It comes down to trust. And not that we, the media, need to trust what he says, but it'd be nice if the fans could trust what Longo says. Because as soon as you can't trust what he says, you have to take every part of his press conferences with a grain of salt. Yeah. And not only is that us, but you know who else is not getting the honest truth out of this? The donors are not getting the honest truth. The AD and the president aren't getting the honest truth, and neither are the players or the coaching staff. If he's not honest with any darn body. He's not honest even with himself. And that is where a lot of these problems start for him.
Yeah. And I mean, this isn't the first time it's happened with a press conference thing, from Mabry Matoyer being available and that he wasn't available, the kicker situation, a couple other things that I can't really remember off the top of my head. But it's just hard to cover the team fairly and evaluate it correctly when you don't know what's going on. I mean, if I knew that they were missing Jamar Diaz and their top 3 defensive tackles coming into the game, it would make a lot of sense why they gave up 600 plus yards and 400 plus rushing yards. Not that it's okay and you still got to go find a way to do it, but it's understandable and you get it. But we didn't know that, and I don't know, it's just frustrating.
Oh, we got more to get into that's going to be frustrating and more things that we don't know if we can even trust from Longo. But first, here is what he saw after he watched film and had a chance to look back at it from yesterday's press conference.
For two things heading into the game that we felt like we needed to handle. We found out midweek that we lost, we were going to be out 4 D linemen. So we knew we were out Jameer Diaz just because of how his ankle was feeling. We tried to go with him. He was kind of an up and down guy all week. And then, we lost 3 defensive tackles. So it kind of changed our approach midweek with regards to the game. We were stressed a little bit up front, didn't have the depth. I know Chiffon Boyd played a boatload of snaps, and a number of guys played a lot because we didn't have guys to rotate through. So we were, I think, twofold. We were concerned about trying to cover that weakness on the defensive line and do what we could personnel-wise. And then offensively, we felt like we're going up against the number 1 defense in the conference. They were a legitimate defense. It was a very we thought they were very talented, and they turned out to be. We thought they were very good schematically, and it was exactly what we expected.
So that right there, in my opinion, Ben, should lead to a pretty hefty fine from the conference office, because your head coach just sat there and admitted to not being honest on the pregame availability report.
Yeah, and I do know that people in the CUSA office were aware of it, so I did get wind of that. So hopefully there's a change in it this week. Needs to be a change in it, and we'll see where it goes from there. But I agree, there's got to be some sort of change or reprimand that happens.
I mean, if they want those to be legit, they're going to have to find these coaches, 10, 15 grand, 20 grand when they're not right about it. That you got to hit them where it hurts.
Yeah, and I mean, you got to at least put guys as questionable. I mean,
Yes.
It sounds like Jamar Diaz was legitimately questionable.
Questionables, I don't worry about questionable. Right? I just, they're not, some of them aren't even on the darn report, and they knew midweek they're out.
Yeah, and the only way to know who actually played and didn't play is to look at the participation report later on in the night, an hour or 2 after the game. So, yeah, it's frustrating. It makes sense why the run defense was so bad. Was probably the worst defensive performance of the year, not including Texas. But it makes sense now. I mean, and we'll see who they get back this week. It would be a big lift if they can get any of those 3 back. If not, Kate Adams probably plays some, maybe even Jeremiah Edmond plays some. Chiffon Boyd's going to play some. A.J. Sargent might bump inside a little bit. So it's going to be interesting to see what things look like this week.
Yeah, we won't even know. And the thing is about the pregame availability reports, don't tell me that it matters, because the NFL releases that stuff, an hour and a half, 2 hours before a game. You cannot change your entire game plan an hour and a half, 2 hours before a game. It's just not happening. You just be honest with those things. Speaking of being honest, here's what Phil Longo had to say about the quarterback room heading into Oregon State.
With regards to Hunter, it was a knee. MRI came back negative. There's no issue. It's stable. And so, he has a pre-existing injury there. And so they're kind of referring to some scar tissue, which was causing the pain on game day. And so he's day-to-day right now. We're just waiting to see how his knee responds. I don't think we're overly concerned, but I don't know any more about his status right now other than it's a day-to-day deal to see how his knee feels from a pain standpoint. And then with regards to Mabry, he has played some, hasn't played a lot. He's had some good drives and some not so good drives. And then we've had some drives end because of some other things. He's laid a couple third down throws in there that should have been able to convert, and we weren't able to hold on to him. But the game is slowing down for him a little bit because of the knowledge base. He's been in the system for 2 years. And so this will be an opportunity for him, to try to get started earlier because he's going to play earlier, obviously, and get himself into a rhythm. And we'll play to Mabry's strengths, which are going to be a little bit different than Hunter's. And again, for him, it'll come down to good decision making.
Yeah.
Okay, so Hunter Watson's knee is perfectly fine, no problems, but Mabry's going to be obviously going to be playing earlier again, Benjamin.
Well, I was going to say, I asked this question too. I asked what the status of Hunter was, if it was precautionary, if he came out, what is something along those lines. And then I also asked what his evaluation of Mabry has been, because Mabry got 3 drives, I think, at the end of the game. We've seen a decent amount of him. He might be the guy for the future. So I also asked that. So gave the update on Hunter and then started talking about Mabry. It makes it sound like Mabry's going to be the guy starting this weekend.
Yeah, we don't, because, I mean, it's pre-existing. Everything's clean. But, Mabry's going to get more playing time, obviously. What? How? That makes it. Here's a great question. Chris Gilstrap, watching on Facebook. Were all of these defensive linemen hurt, or did they just not play?
So Frazier, I know for sure, was banged up in that previous game against UTEP. The other 2, I'm not too sure. I know DJ Jackson played a ton against UTEP, so him coming out with something isn't too surprising. So I'm not doubting that they were injured. It's just the fact that we didn't know.
I'm not doubting they weren't, whether they're injured or not. I'm saying nobody knows the truth.
Right.
You don't know. You really cannot. You can't take the head coach at his word. How many times this year has he said Jameer Diaz is day-to-day, but then he's out on the injury report preview? There's nothing this man says can be taken down as truth at all.
Well, I feel not a guarantee, but I think it's very likely that Mabry is starting on Saturday, and I'll have some people with boots on the ground at the game, so should have an update pregame on the status and what that looks like. But I'm going into it with the expectation that Mabry is going to be the starter.
He should be. Why not? Right? You're 0-8. What do you have to lose now? Well, I mean, Hunter Watson has been great. That's awesome, but you're not going to – chances of you getting a win this year, slim and none. Slim's eating the damn Hershey's over there.
Well,
so you got to have – start playing some of these younger players, right?
And if it is Hunter's knee from last year, that is the knee that he had meniscus surgery on halfway through spring practice, and he got back about a week into training camp before last season. It was about an 8 to 10 week thing. So, I mean, there is a legitimate pre-existing knee injury there that if he's tweaked it, I mean, that is something that I doubt he's going to be ready to play with this week.
So what is the approach after that horrible showing in Ruston, Louisiana? What is their approach this week? Here's what Phil Longo had to say.
With regards to the approach heading into this week, I tell you that we closed this game up pretty quickly. And, our focus now is on the final third of the season. A real good coach told me one time, they remember what you do in November, and that's our focus right now. And so we are locked in one game at a time, and we'll start this trek through November with Oregon State on Saturday away.
I love when he thinks he's got a great point and gives that little smile when he actually said nothing worth mentioning. Chris Gilstrap wants to know, so we are winless. At what point do you look at other players, Locke, Bailey? Here's the thing, Chris. Let's just set this out, lay it out for you 100% honest. You're not going to see Locke or Bailey until he gets a chance to give his guy that he brought with him from Wisconsin a full chance.
Right. Yeah, and the other thing with Locke is looked good. Do you risk burning his red shirt? That's another
a valid
thing to
point there.
Take into consideration.
Yeah, that's a very, very valid point. But listen, Mabry is going to get every chance and then some to prove he's the guy. Locke is just sold on him.
Yeah, and I think you've seen it.
Longo is just sold on him.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I think you've seen it a little bit on the defensive side of the ball. Brody Henderson, the true freshman at edge, is taking a bigger role. Dean Ford is now starting at linebacker. You've seen Trevon Wilson get a lot more playing time at DB. So You've seen it in some spots, but I do agree you do need to start to see more of the younger guys as the season goes on.
So Longo was asked his message to the fans. And I'm going to be 100% honest here. I cut this thing in about 4 parts because this dude droned on and on and on with this answer. So here's a clipped up version, 2.5 minutes long, of Longo's message to the fans.
You know, that's a great question. Here's what I would tell you. I would tell you the same thing I tell the fans, that I tell our players, that I tell our boosters and our staff talks about. And that's, one, we have great confidence in the plan here and great confidence in the process. I would tell all of you the same thing that our players would tell you, and that is we believe in the plan. We're sticking with the plan. This is not my first rodeo. I've been through rebuilding a program before. Mac Brown took over North Carolina. They had won 5 games in 2 years, and the morale, the momentum, the confidence in the program, just the desire to even be in the football building was extremely low and negative. And it's no easier for the coaches. It's no easier for the players. We don't want to be in this situation any more than people want to see us in this situation. But I think we know what we're capable of. We know where we're going. We know the things behind the scenes that are getting better. And we're going to look back at this season at some point, just like they did in the past, because I would point out after the last time they had a struggling season, they went 10-3 and won the New Orleans Bowl. And I think the future for us is going to be just fine. And I think as soon as you take the blinders off and you let the noise, the outside noise, which every coach in America talks to their team about, you distract from the process. And it's not productive. And for the staff, it's pretty easy for us because we just put the blinders on the next day, lock in, and we go to work. And for 8 weeks now, we've had a team that has followed suit. They followed their coaches, and they're doing the same thing. Is there frustration? 100%. If there wasn't, I'd be concerned. If people could relax and handle the type of season we're having, I would be concerned. You know, when there's frustration because they're not playing up to how well they know they can play, either from an individual or a position room or a team standpoint, well, we should be frustrated. You know, then we've got to turn that frustration into positive energy the next day, and there's no way to get better tomorrow until you race yesterday and you move on. And that's going to be the way we handle this. And then it won't be too long from now, Colin, where we're talking about some different things, and this is going to be old news. In the meantime, our noses to the grindstone, and we're going to hammer out the best game plan we can for the next game, which is Saturday.
Okay, Ben. What you got?
It's a lot of forward-looking statements. So we'll either come back and look at this in a year or two and see what he's talking about, or things are still bad. So I think it's kind of what you have to sell and what you have to say. But I think it's definitely something to revisit in a year or two and see where things have gone after those forward-looking statements are made.
This is a moment where I think we could take right now and look at some of those. And let's look at some of those with what we were used to, right? He's not Casey Keeler. They're not this. I get all that. I'm not, but the plan, the process behind the scene, we knew there was a plan with Keeler. All we know with Longo is that he's got concepts of a plan. And concepts don't do crap for you. The process. What is your process? Explain something that tells, like, you knew when they were 0-8 at this point, you knew they were frustrated under Keeler. You knew that. But you also saw this team getting better each week. Right now, this team is getting worse. So to sit here and say the last time they did this, we went 10-3 with a bowl. There was some optimism. You could see some things progressing in that season, even though it wasn't as fun as we wanted it to be. I don't see anything of those signs right now.
Yeah, when I was going to say they know the process, they know the process works. At this point, it has not. And I know this was the season the expectations were not very high. And it's okay if you came in here with one plan and that plan doesn't work and you've got to readjust. We knew that was a possibility this year, and it's okay if that's the thing. Even if you said it's a down year, we came in with a plan, that plan hasn't necessarily worked out, we're going to finish this year strong and reevaluate in the offseason and go from there. I think that's another answer that maybe I would have liked to hear. But if you're just going to continue the same process, that could be concerning. Could be very concerning.
One more thing I would like to see him change is he says, you know, the lock in, the focus, he's on the right track. But you don't erase yesterday. You can't erase what happened. You can't do anything about it. But the hardest thing to do is to be consistently good every single day. That's what everyone struggles with through life, through job, through teams, everything, right? That's what makes things like the old Patriots and the run they go on, and Nick Saban and what he's able to do with Alabama. That's what makes that so impressive, because it's so hard to do the things it takes to be great and do the things that others won't every single day.
Right.
It's hard. So, you know, let's go with that. And hey, Justin Hernandez chimes in, tuning into the best Wednesday afternoon podcast. Well, we appreciate that, Justin. It might also be the only Wednesday afternoon podcast. He's excited for some Bearcat basketball. We are too, Justin. Just if it's Sunday, make sure you got your good clothes on, man.
Yeah, when I was going to say, too, I know football season has kind of been a wash, and it is what it is. I've been around the basketball program a lot, love the team a lot, where they're moving and heading. I've been thinking about maybe doing some post-game spaces after maybe one game a week, all games, something like that. I know we did it for football, I think twice last year on here. Not that it has to be an us thing, but maybe on Twitter/X. So especially probably towards conference play, just thinking about that, you know, something to cover the team a little more, you know.
Definitely something we could talk about. And hey, listen, I'll tell you right now, I'm already once this regular season, these playoffs are over, like I'm taking January basically, unless there's coaching news. My Substack is, you know, you're not going to get as much content in January, February. You'll get a little more in March and April, and then nothing else again until July. That's just how it's going to go. It's football that I cover, not anything else. So there's opportunities. If we could do it on here, get some comments chimed in or on Spaces. Yeah, definitely something to think about as we go on.
Yeah, and I'll be with the team on the road for 2 or 3 games in January also. So might be able to get some good content there too.
Nice. Outstanding. You want to know who has good content? Our friends over at Eternal Roofing. But first, if you're enjoying this show like Justin Hernandez did, help us grow by rating and reviewing. March to the pod on your favorite podcast platform. Subscribe to our Substack page. March to the pod, the number 2. Substack.com. Find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube by searching at March to the pod. Again, the number 2. Also, we're back on Podbean. I kind of liked how Podbean was doing some things a little better, so we're back on Podbean. marchtothepod.podbean.com to find all the episodes. We are proud members of the Conference USA Podcast Roundtable, has shows covering all 12 CUSA programs. Now, let's hear a word from our friends over at Eternal Roofing, and then we're going to come back and talk some Beavers.
Eternal Roofing only uses the finest materials in the roofing business while providing an exceptional warranty. Why do they use CertainTeed products? Because they complement any appearance, provide exceptional and reliable strength, and are known for their enduring performance. Here's what Shane Sosa had to say about Eternal Roofing. Taylor and his team are amongst the highest level of professionals. They care about their customers and go above and beyond just doing the job. Give Eternal Roofing a call today at area code 830-251-5673 or area code 936-215-8539 or email Taylor at eternalroofingtx.com.
All right, Justin, don't let your mama listen to this next part, okay? The little sentences here I'm about to say. I remember back in the day when the old college football game had mascot games. And me, being an intelligent, young, 20-something man, I love to play South Carolina Oregon State mascot game, Ben.
Trying to think, what was South Carolina's?
They're the Gamecocks.
I just can't remember what theirs looked like.
I
know what you're talking. Okay, I know what it looks
but
like now.
What's the name of their mascot?
Cocky, right?
Yeah. Against the Beaver. 9 p.m. Saturday on the CW network. Got to have Ted Robinson on the play-by-play. Ryan Leaf on analyst. By the way, Ryan Leaf was once an assistant coach at West Texas A&M. Did you know that, Ben?
I did not. He was number 3 pick in the draft or something like that? I do know that.
He was. This was after that and before he got busted with the drug thing. No, this was after. I think this might be after the drug thing. One of the two. Nigel Burton will be on the sideline. It don't matter. I'm just glad to see Ryan Leaf got himself straightened out. That's the most important part of all this. Oregon State. They're not good. They enter at 2-7. Cats are 0-8, as we are aware. First ever meeting on the gridiron between these schools, and maybe in any sport. The Beavers have 9 players from Texas on the roster, including 1 or 2 from the Katy, Houston area. Here's a connection for you. Sam Houston State defensive back Joe Swin transferred to the Cats from Oregon State after the 2023 season. How about that, Ben?
Yeah, been with the program 2 years now.
He has. He played a little bit as a freshman before he redshirted that season up in Corvallis. OSU is 188, 175, and 4 inside Reser Stadium. That kind of tracks with what I know of Oregon State, to be honest with you. They're about a mid-program.
Yeah, slightly above average.
Slightly at home, not slightly on the road. Just saying. That overall, they have a losing record in the program history.
That doesn't surprise me.
It doesn't me either. But they're slightly above average at home and below average on the road. That's what you expect from a mid program in the Power Four. Let's take a look at not that.
You there?
Okay, can you hear me?
Now we can.
Okay, that did not work the way I was hoping it would because normally I hit that button. Anyway, doesn't matter. Let's go to a stats comparison. These are national rankings. We don't have conference rankings, and if I did, it would not matter because Oregon State plays in the Pac-2. Stats comparison. Total offense nationally, Cats 115, Oregon State 96th. Total defense, Sam Houston, they fell to 134. I think that might be the bottom, Ben.
Yeah, because I don't know why the NCAA does this, but there's 136 teams, but they don't count team stats or player stats for the teams in transition. So technically there's 134 teams in the sample size.
If you added those two in, would they be 136?
Delaware and Missouri State have had decent seasons, so I would say they would be 136th.
Not good, Batman. 99th total defense for Oregon State. Scoring offense. Man, we are in for a battle this week. Scoring offense. Sam Houston, 127. Oregon State, 115. Scoring defense gets even better. Guess what? Sam Houston, 134. They're last in total defense, last in scoring defense. Oregon State, 105th. Penalties per game. Last week, Sam Houston had a little bit of an advantage here with this. They're tied for 75th. Oregon State's actually kind of disciplined, tied for 31st. Here's an edge. Turnover margin. Cats tied for 57th. Oregon State tied for 117th.
Yeah, I don't know why, but Sam Houston just has a huge knack for just punching balls out.
Yeah. Oh, no, they do a good job at turnover margin this year. You cannot complain about that too much. Justin Hernandez wants to know here, the important question is, are we going to get a tier episode of March to the Pod on Thanksgiving foods? I'll say it, cranberry sauce is elite.
We might have to add that into the show in a few weeks.
We might have to. Chris Gilstrap has a prediction of 0-9 and score 14 points. Chris, that's the next segment. You're getting ahead of me there, my man. But here's some interesting stats for you, Ben, as we look at Oregon State. They had a head coaching change a few weeks ago.
Yep.
Before the head coaching change, they were outscored on average 36-18. Since they moved Rob Akey to head coach, they have outscored their two opponents on average 28-10. What does that tell you?
Well, I do think they are moving in the right direction, but part of that is due to playing Lafayette. But you're getting that kind of FCS Lafayette, not, the school in Louisiana. You're getting that kind of dead cat bounce resurgence with a new coach. You're definitely seeing it. They won kind of a rivalry game for them last week against Washington State. I think this is also their fourth game in a row at home. So I think staying at home, maybe a little rejuvenated after the coaching change, starting to find a rhythm. They're moving in the right direction. I think the coaching change is part of it.
The smarter Lafayette, as we like to refer to them.
Yeah.
Not the Louisiana Lafayette.
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to stop there. Here is what Phil Longo had to say about Oregon State.
So, Colin, I would tell you that Oregon State is very balanced on offense. They've got two quarterbacks. Malik Murphy is the quarterback that they've had. He's played most of their snaps. I think and I don't know if it's because of the coaching change or not, but I think they made a change soon after the head coaching change. They have won both games under the new interim head coach. And they've also played Jabari Johnson. So, those two guys are very, very different. So, and Colin, you asked me about the two quarterback system earlier in the season with regards to our defense facing a team that had two QBs. This one's a little more challenging just because Malik and Jabari are very different. They're very different quarterbacks, and Jabari's a very talented, gifted runner as well. And they leaned on the run game a little bit more after the coaching change and while Jabari was out on the field. And so we have to prepare for two of them. Don't know which one we're going to see. We may see both of them. They're both very different. And so we just got to be ready for what that skill set is for the, whichever quarterback they choose on that particular down or drive or quarter. So defensively, it's getting ready for two different ones. I think from an offensive standpoint, they do well in the box. They're solid in the box. They've got a good defensive line. Linebackers are aggressive. It's a very different look and a different feel from what we faced last week. And they're going to stop the run first, like most defenses want to do. And in games where they have played well, I think they've done a good job at stopping the run. And so they're going to try to force you to be a little bit more one-dimensional. I think they would like to force you to try to beat them in the air, and so we're going to have to be balanced.
Stop the run like good defenses do, Ben.
Yeah, Oregon State, on paper, record-wise, not great, but, they flashed at times, beat Washington State, who is an okay team. They handled their FCS opponent. They should have beat Houston, took them to overtime, led most of that game. 4-point loss at App State, pretty good. G5 team. So it's not like they've just been run out of the building in a lot of these games. They've been in a lot of them. They've been close, haven't been able to finish, but they've finished the last 2 weeks. We'll see what they do at quarterback. I know Longo mentioned they've kind of been going back and forth there between a couple guys. So we'll see what they get, but this is not a bad football team. I know the record is not great, but this is one of the better teams you'll play all year, probably fourth best, somewhere like that. So, it's a quality opponent compared to the rest of your schedule.
You trying to get me to change my prediction? Is that what you're doing?
Which way?
Well, we'll find out because we got predictions coming up. Also, an update from Cat Fun. But first, if you haven't already, you might be a little too late. There's a chance, though. Listen here to our friends at Eternal Roofing and get on that list for Christmas lights.
Eternal Roofing is locally owned and dedicated to giving back to the community by supporting local organizations and charities. They are also the winner of Next Door's Neighborhood Faves for 2 consecutive years. And as you know, if you've listened to this podcast, Eternal Roofing is your choice for Christmas lights. They provide premium lights tailored to fit your home, season-long maintenance, and hassle-free removal. Kyle Tatum said, "They're very professional and great quality, on time and clean, and really made me feel like they cared for me and my home." Give Eternal Roofing a call today at area code 830-251-5673 or area code 936-215-8539, or you can email taylor@eternalroofingtx.com.
For predictions, let's go to Ben for a Cat Fund update.
Yeah, basketball season's here, and I know I teased it last week. It should be up in the next day or two, but we'll have a raffle / giveaway of a signed basketball from the men's basketball program this year. So that'll be a cool thing that you get to be a part of, but definitely want to sign up and support at cat-fund.com. Also have an exciting little partnership that we should be announcing here soon with a local company that's going to do a lot of good work with us in the community. So and help these athletes, which is what it's all about. So sign up at cat-fund.com, support these athletes, and we need you. It takes everyone.
That's outstanding news. I like to hear the good news. Well, let's get back into the football team then. It's prediction time. But before we get to the predictions for this week, let's recap where we're at after last week. Last week, Law Tech, the Lady Texters, were 17-point favorites. Total was 49. Ben thought Law Tech would win, but that Cats would cover, and he thought it would go over 30-20. He was partially right. It went over. I was big on the Lady Texters. Not as big as they won, though. I had 38-17. It finished up 55-14, as we know. So on the year, Ben, you're now down to 5. You were on a heater, my man.
Yeah,
you're down to 5-3 against the spread and 5-3 on the total.
Yeah, I'm just letting you catch up to feel good for a couple weeks.
Well, I'm catching up. I'm on a heck of a heater. I'm 4-4 against the spread and 3-5 on the total. So what about this week? It opened. This is crazy. It opened at Oregon State minus 17.5 with a total of 51.5. It has been bet to the Beavers minus 20.5, 3 touchdowns, a total of 52.5. Vegas projection 37-16, 36.5, but 37-16, Oregon State over the Cats. Some notes: Sam Houston 1-7 against the spread this year, and against the total, the over is 6-2. They've had 3 straight overs in their games. That's why that defense is 134th. Oregon State 3-6 against the spread, but they've been 2-0 in the last 2 weeks since that coaching change. And on the totals, the overs are 5-4. With all that in mind, what say you, Ben?
Yeah, and I think we're probably going to be in alignment on our sides here. I'm going to go Oregon State 48, Sam Houston 7. Just everything not going your way. Sounds like Mabry Matoyer is going to start, which I think is going to hurt the offense without having Hunter Watson. Back-to-back road games, which I think is also a factor, and this is not an easy travel up to the Pacific Northwest. Oregon State's kind of rolling, 4 straight home games for them. I think it's all Oregon State. I'm going to say 48-7. So Oregon State covers comfortably, and we go over on the total.
You're going over on a 52.5. That's aggressive.
Yeah.
Well, ChatGPT, that's who I've been using on this heater. It gives a projected final of Oregon State 34-13. Oregon State to cover and the under. It's a roughly 50% chance that OSU wins comfortably with a range of between 31-12 and 37-14. There's a roughly 15% chance of an Oregon State blowout. I think that's where you're at, Ben.
Yeah.
And a 5% chance of a Cats upset. Here is a quote directly from ChatGPT. Sam Houston's offense and defense both rank among the worst in key categories: third down, yards allowed, red zone. Oregon State has shown some signs of improving and is at home, which amplifies their edge. Wow. Summed it up perfectly. Beavers celebrate senior day, 41-10. I'm going Beavers cover. I'm going to go under. I don't think Sam Houston scores enough to make the over happen this time.
I think Oregon State could account for it themselves. I mean, if La Tech scored 55, you never know.
You always appreciate when we're not on the same, especially with a total.
Right. Well, so I feel good now.
You should.
Yeah,
you
feel
should.
really
But I also feel good because I think 41-10 is about right. I think ChatGPT is overestimating the Cats a little bit.
Yep. We'll see. We'll see. I know we both agree that Sam Houston is not winning.
Oh, God, it ain't going to be close. Saturday night, 9 o'clock on the CW. Man, sounds like fun, don't it?
Yeah, it's gonna be a dandy.
9 o'clock. That's a wrap for this episode of March 2 of the Pod, presented by Eternal Roofing. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back next week with more Bearcat athletics coverage. Until then, Ben, take us home.
Yeah, eat 'em up, Cats, and try not to lose by 20.5, I guess.
Let's just play basketball.